With Pierre Poilievre losing MPs left, right, and center, it's easy to forget that the Conservative Party of Canada was able to command caucus loyalty like no other. And no one did that better than Canada's 14th Prime Minister, the late great Brian Mulroney. Seeing as Pierre Poilievre is certainly less than charismatic with his caucus, in this video I want to go over the 3 ways that Brian Mulroney acted as a much better politician than Pierre Poilievre. And the first way has to be because
Canadian people, Mr. Mulroney, I had no option.
Well, you had an option, sir. You could have said, I am not.
Yes, you heard that right. Whatever you think of Brian Mulroney and his policies, or his scandals, he was undeniably good at genuinely connecting with anyone in his party. I hit my microphone there. It didn't matter who you were in the Conservative Party. If you just celebrated a birthday, bam, phone goes off. You just got married, boom, phone goes off. If you finally got divorced, bam, phone goes off. Mulroney was constantly working the phones, showing everyone in his party he actually cared about the people in it instead of just seeing it as a vehicle for himself. He wouldn't just call to say hello or congrats. He would be working the phones to give praise to anyone he in his party he thought was doing a good job. Mulroney would call up MPs and their relatives to recognize accomplishments or to express concern if someone was experiencing illness, loss, or tragedy. Former Progressive Conservative MP Garth Turner recounted that Mulroney would call out of the blue, full of effusive praise and leaving his subject friend and foe alike swimming in endorphins. Mulroney's former chief of staff, Hugh Segal, recalled in his book The Long Road Back that the Prime Minister once became angry over not being told that a PC MP's wife had broken her arm in a car accident. The lesson for the entire PMO was that without caucus cohesion, unity, and loyalty, nothing else mattered. And even though he was the Prime Minister of the country, he also cared about the on-the-ground local people who worked for the party. Mulroney also phoned junior political staffers and local party supporters, surprised staff received flowers to mark special life events, he sent congratulatory notes to MP's children graduating from high school. My man was doing literally everything. But it wasn't the case that Brian Mulroney was just trying to butter people up in his cabinet to get them to like him, or putting on a facade of caring about people, or that he was constantly praising people just to get them to like him. Brian Mulroney was actually successful in this strategy because he did just genuinely care about the people in his party. By the way, how do you guys like the Winnipeg Jets sweater? I think it's super sick and super rad. He's one of the only people I've ever seen to be able to make politics incredibly personal and not face the repercussions of doing so, which would be people taking things personally. The way he did this was by caring about everyone who was in the Conservative Party, from the most quiet progressive conservative backbencher to senators and local party people to the more bright and flashy ministerial positions. One of the coldest things I've ever heard about a prime minister actually came from the article I've been reading parts of right now, which said that he was so determined to inspire commitment in caucus meetings that if a PC backbencher complained about an inaccessible minister, the prime minister arranged for the minister to receive a message that others were interested in their cabinet position. Goddamn. He didn't want to inspire blind loyalty in him, the leader. He actually acted as a leader in building up the organization as a whole. This is why Brian Mulroney was the Riz God. Any prime minister who was clearly just focused on trying to butter people up in his party wouldn't threaten the people directly under him on the totem pole to start caring more about people even lower on the totem pole, and would strictly focus on the people directly around him. Now compare that to Pierre Poilievre, who has constantly tried his absolute best to make every person in the Conservative Party hate him, and actually has the any percent speed run for getting a full room of at least 5 women or more to clear out without saying any word. If Brian Mulroney was constantly looking for any little thing he could find that you did to fill you with praise, Pierre Poilievre is the exact opposite. Everybody is being watched. What we say, what we do, who we talk to. We're told not to fraternize with MPs from other parties, and that's not normal. Take all the incredibly nice things Brian Mulroney's caucus said about him, and then contrast that with this. Conservative MPs' words and actions are closely scrutinized by the leader's office, partisanship is encouraged, fraternizing with elected officials from other parties is a no-no. Oh, I'm sorry, did we just catch you smiling at the Prime Minister? In the cock and ball torture chamber you go. Those who follow these rules are rewarded. Those who don't often have to suffer consequences. There are always multiple people in the penalty box. There's always someone in trouble, one caucus member said. These are grown adults, by the way. Brian Mulroney was always, no matter what, looking for ways to lift up members of his party. One modern Conservative Party caucus member under Pierre Poilievre is on record for saying that the leader comes first, do not undercut him. What the fuck are we talking about here? This type of stuff is actually inexcusable. I can't believe I have to say this, but it's politics. You do have to make people kind of like you. Why would you treat the people who are lower than you, the people who actually make up your party, like this? Why would you do this? MPs shouldn't be saying things like this. These are grown adults who shouldn't be in timeout and essentially blacklisted from moving up in the party just for treating other people in parliament like human beings. Now, some of you may be saying, well, hold up there. Brian Mulroney was constantly demanding loyalty from his caucus. So why is it bad that Pierre Poilievre tries to get loyalty out of his caucus? Well, you brainless midwit, loyalty is not something you can command for no reason. At the end of the day, whether we like to admit it or not, Conservative MPs aren't actually trained SEALs and are instead surprisingly humans with their own lives and ambitions, and most of the time they're gonna want some sort of loyalty back from you before they give you any of it. Loyalty can't be spawned in like it's, slash give Pierre Poilievre 172 meat riders. That's not how that works. It has to be fostered and taken care of like a plant. And I just realized all of you look like the Wall-E people. You've never seen a piece of greenery in your life. That was a horrible analogy. Loyalty is like a 15-year-old Discord kitten, okay? It's got to be groomed over time. You can't just go in there right now. You can't do that, okay? That's what it's like. Now you get it. And Brian Mulroney did do things to actually earn people's loyalty. Brian Mulroney not only treated his caucus like human beings, but like they all mattered. But treating someone like they matter to you is one thing. Brian Mulroney treated people, I'm moving my mic closer, Brian Mulroney treated people like they mattered to the organization of the Conservative Party. And so it's easy to see why and how no one likes working for Pierre Poilievre when he comes in, converts the Conservative Party into a 1984-esque state that's constantly spying on everyone, looking for a mistake to punish them, and then demanding they have complete undying loyalty to him and him alone. In 1992, the PC government was near the end of its tumultuous second term in office, marked by a number of polarizing policy initiatives. The caucus was encouraged to think like trustees who prioritize the national interest. I missaid that. I hate all of you. While the media gorged on public angst and the whiff of scandal, 6 MPs defected to form the Bloc Québécois. 2 former PC MPs were now independents. Another had been sentenced for corruption. By-election losses were mounting, and the Reform Party was siphoning support in the West. A majority of Canadians wanted the Prime Minister to resign, and in one political poll, just 11% of respondents preferred the PC Party. With political jobs on the line, public sniping and efforts to install a new leader would be a normal course of events, yet most Tories were steadfast in their allegiance to the leader and party. No matter how low the party was in public opinion polls or how anxious ministers and backbenchers were about the latest controversy dominating the news, Mulroney soon had them cheering and laughing. They would exit meetings feeling reassured, encouraged, flattered, entertained, and above all, reminded that caucus unity is essential. We were at 22% in the polls, and Mulroney was in full oratorical flight, reminisced former MP Jim Edwards. When the caucus meeting was over, if he'd called an election that day, we would have cheered him for doing it. He was such a terrific motivator. He was absolutely genuine in caucus. That is a Adolf Hitler level of loyalty. God damn. Now, some of you may be saying, well, number one, it can't be that loyal if, 6 MPs left and then 2 left or whatever. And 2, that maybe Pierre Poilievre isn't focused on caucus loyalty and instead focused on getting the people to like him. And I'll attack the second point first. If he's trying to min-max getting the electorate to like him, he's doing a pretty shit job. And attacking the last point, Brian Mulroney was going against the Quebec liberation movement, a tension that has existed for literally hundreds of years, and being at 22% in the polls, and he only lost like 8 MPs. The Conservative Party, in some polls, is like winning now, but in most is like 3 points behind the Liberals, and 2 MPs have left to join their direct competitor. Another quit politics fucking permanently. Like, what are we talking about here? And that's not even the thing that I think Pierre Poilievre is the worst at when compared to Brian Mulroney. One of the best characteristics of any leader is the ability to self-reflect. And oh boy, Pierre Poilievre is just so known for that. He's just so good at it. No matter how many articles of his own MPs come out speaking anonymously in fear of being punished about how much he needs to change and how bad the working conditions are, he is still as stubborn as ever and has not changed a single goddamn thing. This was cute, of course, when he was up by 25 points, but now that he's down by 2, it's not so funny anymore. Now, despite their incredibly different starts in politics, this is something that Brian Mulroney had to deal with. After losing the 1976 Progressive Conservative leadership bid to Joe Clark, Brian Mulroney fell into a deep depression. By the way, guys, I'm going to be honest with you. It has taken me weeks to film this video. I opened OBS and the only thing I felt was like dread. I have not wanted to record this video. And I'm finally on a roll. I'm finally recording myself and like I'm coming out decent. It is 1:44 a.m. Everyone around me is sleeping. Me. So I am going to have to be quieter now. Losing a huge event like that would obviously put any man into a slump, but coupled with the fact that he lost to Joe Clark, I'm surprised he didn't want to kill himself. And Brian Mulroney has talked constantly about that time in his life. If you've heard him talk about it, he was probably talking about it with his struggle with alcoholism. Okay, I'm going to read the next quote tomorrow morning because it's so late right now. I realized I would have to come to grips with the fact that I had developed what could only be described as a serious drinking problem. He wrote frankly. Over the years in Montreal and in my frequent travels to isolated mining towns, what had begun as pleasure and a few drinks after work or before dinner was progressing rapidly toward a need to be fueled frequently by some alcohol at lunch, dinner, and in the late evening. So far, I had not gotten into any serious difficulties either at work or socially because of the drinking, but my conduct was becoming unpredictable and worrisome, and I realized I had entered dangerous territory. I was forced to confront the fact that I couldn't maintain my present lifestyle and achieve my goals if I didn't take drastic and quick action. Whoa, just like that, I'm back, you guys. Brian Mulroney had the absolute balls to wake up one day, go full-on brute force away his addiction because he thought about the man he wanted to be, and completely changed himself, and he kept going. He reflected on why he lost his 1976 leadership bid and was actually able to pull some decent information from that. He started the campaign as kind of a dark horse, but mainly through his gift of gab was able to slowly pull through. He was especially charismatic where he needed to be, which was on the phone with rich people, getting all of their money, but he was starting to raise too much money and was starting to become a problem. Yes, you heard that right. He was raising too much money. As Joe Clark was running his campaign in his own parliamentary office, and yes, he was running his own campaign, Mulroney was going from place to place in a leased executive jet, and even though he came from a working class background, he was slowly becoming seen as a Cadillac candidate, because those are my words, because those are dumb words. What started out as him having to differentiate himself, being the underdog that quickly started gaining in the polls, ended up sort of seeming like someone who was trying to buy the election, which led him to lose the leadership convention to Joe Clark. Oh, goodness gracious. But he reflected, and the next time he ran, he learned from not only his mistakes by running a campaign that was way less flashy and way more focused on actually getting conservatives to vote for him, but he also learned from Joe Clark's mistakes in fostering his relationship with caucus. Because Joe Clark didn't foster his relationship with caucus. Because yes, Joe Clark did win that election, but he didn't stay for long, and eventually he read the writing on the walls and he had to call a leadership review. The reason that Pierre Poilievre's stubbornness shows some of his weakness as a leader is because at the end of the day, being a leader doesn't make you the person who can do whatever he wants. It makes you arguably the biggest bit. You have to be the loser who is like responsible for everyone, who has to take care of everyone, and make sure that everyone's okay. You can't just like bulldoze your, you can't do that. Anyone who's at least kind of considerate would read the writing on the wall and realize that people don't want frowning with their populism. The only reason the conservatives were even kind of winning is because liberals, for the life of them, couldn't fully understand what was brewing. We all have the word for that now. It is the affordability crisis, and I voted for the liberals, but I'll be honest, I'll be the first one to admit that the liberals don't need to change their messaging on that one. They need to be doing more, like actually, and the only person who could so far capture that and deploy it was Zoran Mamdani. And when I talked about Zoran versus the NDP in one of my last videos, and I mentioned how Pierre and Mamdani both ran similar type campaigns, I do still stand by that. But the one thing that separates them is cheerability. And I'm going to mention my girlfriend right now. My girlfriend read this script and she saw the words Zoran Mamdani. She went, yay! And then she didn't realize that, like, yeah, Zoran Mamdani is like, or she didn't say that, yeah, she's like, yeah, you know, I like him. She kind of proved my point. Zoran Mamdani is incredibly cheerable. Pierre Poilievre it's hard to cheer for the guy. It's hard to be like, yeah, I like him. You can either be like, oh, I love him, or you hate him. So yeah, anyway, I just want to mention my girlfriend because I like her a lot. She's sleeping right now. Are you awake, honey? Out like a light. I don't know how she's doing it right now. But again, the one thing that separates these two candidates is cheerability. Pierre Poilievre can be kind of hard to cheer for the vast majority of Canadians. And if Pierre could just not be so much, if Pierre could just be so, it's just a little not so punchable, he would do so much better. Instead of running the Conservative Party like a dictatorship or focusing on partisanship, maybe, you know, making everyone hate each other isn't the best idea. He could be like Zoran Mamdani and still keep all that anger and hate and just channel it into select moments. Then it would at least feel justified and he would be way more approachable. Because if there was one thing that Brian Mulroney was that Pierre Poilievre and the rest of the Conservatives aren't right now, it is approachable. By definition, the Liberals are two more MPs more approachable. That's by definition. If the Liberals have an affordability crisis, then the Conservatives have an approachability crisis. I cooked with that line. 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 And I know what some of you were thinking. Oh, Hudson, you just think that Brian Mulroney was approachable and Pierre isn't because Brian is a progressive conservative and Pierre Poilievre is a populist conservative. I wouldn't call him an arsler on camera. Well, let's deal with that point right here, right now. Is Zoran Mamdani further left than Pierre Poilievre? Yes. Obviously, he is an actual socialist that was constantly being called anti-Semitic, who got the Jewish candidate he was running against to team up with him. Next point. So clearly you can be approachable and principled and extremist or whatever. You just have to not be stupid about it. And Brian Mulroney was the example of that. Even his American counterpart was perfect at this. Ronald Reagan killed at least a couple thousand fucking gay people. And he kept smiling, and we just let him get away with that. One of the best ways to do this is to play to the team. Say whatever you want about the spry young political streamer Destiny, but he made a point recently that I kind of liked. That for any one person to do something greater than themselves, they have to kind of believe in some sort of human optimism. And I think that's a really nice point. I think it's beautiful. I think that the idea that we have to somewhat believe in human optimism, or we'll never leave our homes to do anything at all, is something that is just kind of ingrained into us at this point. You do need to believe that, like, oh, I believe in the human spirit of the Ford manufacturer and the guy who get paid $12 to make my car, because if he wanted to, he could make it a bomb at any moment, but he doesn't. So God bless him. Mwah. Maybe one day he'll be paid more than $13. And so people are much more willing to want to contribute to you in a meaningful way when you go to the strengths of not just you, but the party as a whole. I think that human beings have intrinsic value, whether it be given by God or magic or the fucking force, whatever you want to say, that when you pair two human beings together, there is something there that makes it possible for more than two human beings of value to come out. I'm not just talking about making a fucking child, which I know none of you know about. Don't even worry about that. But even if you don't agree with me on a principled position, that's fine. Having this belief just makes you a better leader. Maybe I'm wrong, but if you have this belief, you just become a better leader, so why not believe it? You have to understand this fully, and only when you do so, do you start to become more likable to people, just automatically. But two, you come off as more genuine, and in doing so, you create an effect that will attract the top talent and people to your organization. I hope I come off as genuine right now, and not like a fucking skinwalker. I'm Skinwalker Hudson. You don't want to know why he didn't make a video for 2 months? It was not because he was depressed, and still is currently. It's because I am dear Skinwalker Hudson. It's because Brian Mulroney was a good leader, and he understood this very, 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 very well. He played to it better than any prime minister I've ever seen. And this strategy doesn't just work with trying and failing to get good leadership in your party. It also works on voters, okay? People want to feel like they're a part of something, because that's what actually inspires things to happen in your favor, like people signing up to canvass or donating, or more importantly, getting young Ukrainian boys to make YouTube videos about how good you are, which, if we're being honest, that is what won the last election, okay? Let's be fucking for real here, okay? Let's be for real here, okay? Mark Carney would be nothing without me. I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. But seriously, you listen to what Jamil Jivani was saying right after he won his seat. And one of the first things he decides to do is call out a conservative premier, which means that that is at least a sentiment that is welcome in the modern conservative party. But it's not even like some rinky-dink progressive conservative. It is literally the second most popular conservative in the country, in charge of the largest province by population in the country, that also holds Canada's biggest city and its capital. What are we doing here? Brian Mulroney worked with people who were different from him politically. This is the same divide that the Conservative Party is dealing with right now. A more progressive conservative clashing with a more die-hard conservative. And when Brian Mulroney died, you had countless people who went to bat for him. But I don't think many people who worked with Pierre Poilievre would actually bat for him while he's alive. This is a new, like, really basic rule I have for the political scene. It is okay to have people like you. It's fine to have allies. You know what? I'll say it. You should try and get voters in politics. What the fuck? Thank you. You got something to say about that, finance minister? Okay. Well, my green screen's dying, so we're done with that. I know, in the day and age we live in right now, I don't need to fill you in on stuff. People are kind of heated. There's domestic terrorists driving around Minneapolis like a mother of 3 who was nowhere near running over that guy. Everyone's poor. Everyone smells bad. Everyone's cock doesn't work, because it can't be just me. That, like, now is the time, the tensions are high, you start just blasting motherfuckers, make everyone your enemy, you know. But I can promise you this isn't smart. How do you even expect people to vote for you? They need a reason to vote for you, not just to not vote for the other guy. What is it with parties that are like the color blue and like never having a strategy that goes past, don't vote for this guy because we don't like him? Why can't they do better? That's the Democrats and conservatives, because the Democrats have tried And they learned really quickly. You can't just run an anti-Trump campaign because sure, your polls will look good before the election, but when the election does come around and you start having anything else, it feels like you are running for the position of second place. And the same goes for Pierre. You can't just make everyone an enemy and say, oh, look how bad Carney is, look how bad Ford is, look how bad the fucking CBC is. Because no one likes you, bro. Like, that isn't fun. And I've said this a million times. If you're having fun in politics, you're doing it wrong. I'm having fun right now, but that's because it's 2 a.m. The Liberals have an issue. The more and more welcoming they are to progressive conservatives, the more and more they are not welcome to NDP and far lefters. You can't have everyone like you. And it feels like that's a battle the Liberals have largely given up trying to win anymore. All hail progressive conservative Mark Carney at this point. There is a serious calculation at this point the Liberals should try to start making, namely, if we try to become any more right-wing, will that actually be a net negative for support? Probably. But the Conservatives don't have this problem. Maxime Bernier is sitting in his cryotherapy tub waiting to be unfrozen in 4 years, and the People's Party is dead and dying. And again, you don't even have to have moderate policy. All you have to do is at least realize that if someone isn't 100% with you, that doesn't mean they are against you. Just because we're not friends don't mean that we enemies. Who did that? And that a progressive conservative still has place in the fucking Conservative Party. I know, shocking. It is actually not that hard, honestly. It is not that hard to join the Discord. Link in the description. It is the best way to support me by joining the community and stuff. But also, subscribe to the second channel, please. Subscribe to the second channel. It's so cool. We got videos on there now. I like the NDP video. It's nicely edited, and I want to make that channel better and keep posting to it, and I got to keep live streaming to it. I love you all. Sorry it took me so long. I don't know why, but it's getting hard to record videos, and that is scaring me. All right, I love you. Mwah. I did the video. I'm actually very happy that I did that. I need to record that one part yet. I hope my audio. I'm still recording. This is. I got.